What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It has been far too long since I have put out a video for you guys, and that is what I'm looking to do this weekend. Today's video is a little off the beaten path of software development. This one is more about my personal fascination with keyboards. It's been a while since I've done a video about some of my keyboards. In particular, this video is going to be about my Lily 58 Pro keyboard build that I built probably about a year and a half ago. This is by far the keyboard that I get the most questions about on social media, primarily my Instagram. Almost every time I make a post, there's always at least one person asking, hey, what keyboard is that? Where can I get it? You know, the list goes on. There's tons of questions about this keyboard and a lot of interest surrounding it, just because I think it's mostly because it just looks so interesting. It's very different from an average keyboard that you would see, unless you happen to know somebody who is a keyboard enthusiast like myself. Then you've probably seen one of these before, but if not, then let this video serve as your introduction to the Lily 58 Pro. Now, the Lily 58 Pro is a split keyboard with an ortholinear key layout. If you are not sure what ortholinear means, essentially this means that unlike a typical keyboard where you have staggered keys that kind of run in a zigzag or diagonal like pattern, the keys on an ortholinear keyboard are aligned vertically as well as horizontally. So these keys run straight up and down and straight side to side. The idea behind this is that there is less finger travel between keystrokes, overall leading to less long-term strain on your hands as well as faster typing speed. Now, like I mentioned, I have been using the Lily 58 Pro for quite some time now, probably close to about a year and a half. So I have quite a bit of experience typing on this keyboard. Now, my overall experience with this keyboard has been incredible. To start off, it is quite awkward to use and the learning curve is there for sure. This is just because it's such a different experience typing on this if you've never typed on a keyboard like this before. It definitely does take some time to ramp up to and to get your typing speed and accuracy back up to par with what it probably was on whatever you used prior to this. But overall, I think that my experience with this keyboard has been phenomenal over the time that I have used it for, and I would highly recommend it to anybody if you're looking for an interesting keyboard to use jumping into the custom mechanical keyboard world. Now that I am so used to typing on this mechanical keyboard, it's actually quite difficult for me to go back to a typical staggered type layout. Or even just like non-split boards in general. I have become definitely partial to using this type of keyboard, and because of that, I've tried typing on I also have a Keychron K6, which is, you know, more like a standard type keyboard that has the traditional staggered layout, and I actually find it quite difficult to type on going back to that type of layout, having not used it for so long. So the learning curve kind of goes both ways. It really just depends like what you get used to and then how often you use something else. But with all that being said, let's get into the build itself. Now, the keyboard itself, as mentioned, is a Lily 58 Pro. I bought the blue PCB kit from Little Keyboards, small company. I believe they're based out of Vietnam, but I could be wrong because it's been a while since I've ordered this stuff. But definitely check them out. They are definitely a great distributor. I had an excellent experience ordering from them. Now, the case that you see on here is the clear acrylic PCB enclosure. Now, this case right here is actually sold by Little Keyboards as well. I don't think that there are any other distributors that sell this, at least not that I saw during the time that I was doing my build. Interestingly enough, the gentlemen over at Little Keyboards were kind enough to hook me up with this case. Now, I did pay for this case, but at the time that I ordered, they were actually sold out of this case entirely. But it was like the only one that I wanted, and I reached out to them and they actually sold me the display model that they used for the product photographs. So that was very kind of them to allow me to purchase that product and to be able to complete my build. Now, as for the switches that are in this keyboard and that have been in here for quite some time, have definitely become my favorite switch personally, are box navies. I think Kale, I don't know how you say it, but they are box navies. I ordered these from novelkeys.xyz. Definitely recommend checking them out as well. They have an excellent selection of switches for all of your keyboard needs. I really like these switches in particular because they have a very heavy weighted feel, and I really like the click actuation. I like the feel of it, and I like heavy switches. I'm also quite fond of the very deep click sound that comes with these switches. It's definitely a lot deeper than you know, using something like cherry blues, because these are, these are thick clicks, so you definitely get a deeper, clickier experience. Me personally, I think that these keys were great for learning to type on new keyboards, but because it makes it more difficult to make accidental keystrokes because they're heavy and there's that click actuation, so you kind of have kind of like a maximum level of resistance between when you push the switch versus when it actuates, and it kind of really just helps get rid of accidental keystrokes. For those curious about the thick click Box Navy switches, here's a quick sound typing test. The cables that you see here, there's a USB cable and then the TTRS cable here. These were ordered and custom made by a company called Pexon Cables out of the UK. Very small company, but do very great quality work. I've never had any issues with these cables at all. And you may notice this little adapter that I have here on the end. This is basically a magnetic quick connect USB adapter, because it is a well-known issue in the mechanical keyboard industry that if you have Pro Micros, it is very easy to break the USB ports off of these. Having these magnetic quick connects is $10. It can save you a lot of headache and almost completely get rid of the possibility of breaking your USB connections. I've been using these USB connections for a long time and I have never broken a USB port while using them, but I have definitely broken one when not using it, so take that as you will. I definitely had a heck of a time building this keyboard. This was my first actual like ground up keyboard build. It was my first experience with soldering, so it was quite difficult, but it was also like a really cool learning experience. I did all the soldering myself, following YouTube videos and things like that. It was quite a struggle. In fact, I actually ruined one of my PCB boards and was not able to repair it, so I ended up ordering a second set from Little Keyboards. Fortunately, those kits were not like super expensive. I think the PCB boards themselves were like 20 something bucks, but yeah, I had to order replacements because it was a learning experience and I made mistakes, and I paid the price for that. So it definitely helps if you have some soldering experience under your belt as it is, but you definitely can do this as a novice. As for keycaps, I'm using the PBT Islander keycap set from the Key Company. I bought these in a group buy. The only way you can get these now though is if you buy them used, unfortunately. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for joining me for today's video. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to smash the like button down below and consider subscribing to the channel and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified when I post new content. Until next time, guys.